What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today we are back again with another deck profile, this time for Overlord the Rebirth. So coming out of Clan Collection Volume 5, we did get a spicy retrain of Dragonic Overlord, the Rebirth, and I think it's like a really fun deck, honestly. I'm personally going to show you guys the kind of Dauntless Rebirth build that I am going with a lot of different versatile options within it. You can run it with Overlord the Cross as well, but I know a lot of people don't have access to that card. It's an older card now, you know, it's a Vanguard rare and whatnot, so if this video does well enough, maybe I'll bring that, but for right now, I am having a ton of fun with this deck, and I think this is like a super competitive deck, honestly. I think this really has a lot going for it. So without further ado, let's hop into the video, go over the deck profile itself, and probably answer a lot of your questions along the way. So yeah, let's hop right in. Alright, so even though this is a Dragonic Overlord, the Rebirth kind of deck, I do need to talk about another card first to kind of start us off, and you're going to see why this kind of just propels our whole strategy forward. A card that was reprinted, of course, this is a grade 3 Dauntless Drive Dragon. So Dauntless Drive Dragon, just to review its skill, you guys probably know, but auto on Vanguard Circle at the end of battle that you drive check. Reveal 2 or more normal units. One of your front or rear guards gets an additional 10k until the end of turn. Not super relevant, but okay. Auto on Vanguard Circle, once returned at the end of battle that it attacked. If your hand has 4 or more cards, discard 3 cards from your hand, and then stand this unit. So this is really big, and over here, auto, when this is wrote upon, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets all of this card's auto abilities other than this one until the end of turn. So again, your Vanguard riding over this gets that ability to multi-attack, as well as getting that extra, you know, when no triggers come up, give something an extra 10k, which is pretty big overall. I really do like that. I think that this guy really helps us kind of go into the Rebirth a little bit more effectively. He can still put on like inherent pressure in and of himself. You know, just a restanding Vanguard with not losing any drive checks. I know it's 3 cards from hand, which is pretty big, but we run a couple cards to kind of help us with the draw power in this deck. So I personally really like this. This is our engine starter. If you think you can survive to that turn, I think every single time you should go into this to really get your plays off the ground. And you have a lot of different options on what you're going to ride. On top of this, the main one being, of course, the major theme of this deck is going to be Dragonic Overlord, the Rebirth. So the Rebirth is a new card, so again, I'm going to go over the skill over here, but I'm only running 3 copies, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Auto on Vanguard Circle, at the beginning of our battle phase, we get to have 1 or more of our rear guards. We basically lock all of our rear guards, and then at the end of the battle, this guy attacks, counter blast 1, discard all of your hand, and then stand this unit. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, we get to soul blast 1, and for every 2 of our locked cards, choose one of our opponent's rear guards, and then retire them. So a little bit of field control. Kagero is always good for that. Nice to see that continued over here as well. And then its last skill, auto on Vanguard Circle, once per turn. At the end of battle, this unit attacked. If you have 5 or more locked cards, if you have 4 or more cards in your damage zone, basically limit break, you get to discard 2 cards from your hand, stand this unit, get an imaginary gift force. So not losing drive checks on that is really big over here. It's nice to every single time just be swinging with that 2/2/2. In the ideal world, when you ride on top of this and you're at limit break 4, you're going to have 4 Vanguard attacks and no minus drive checks on that too, which is, like I said, just pretty big. Only running 3 copies because of what I am going to be showing you next over here. There's a lot of versatility, like I keep on saying, in this deck. I got inspiration from a bunch of different lists. This definitely is not like a purely net deck or anything like that. I've played this at locals, you know, day 1 when it came out. I've been testing it all weekend. I really like this deck. I tried 4. I like it at 3. I've only missed it 1 game out of in testing 6, so I personally really like that. And then on my first day too, I think my 4 rounds, yeah, I did not miss any of that. So really good card. I think that, you know, also I do want to mention too, sorry, I just took that away, but I do want to mention too, if you just have to go into him, like, that's fine. Like, you just ride this guy. It is what it is. You can attack at least more than once for a counterblast 1 discard, still have some field control right on top of him. Next time, hopefully you're at limit break 4. You're at least attacking 3 times, once normal, second with the first skill, and third with that last skill over there. So 3 attacks still is pretty big, and we're running cards in this deck to buff him up and just kind of complement this strategy overall. But this is where the real spice happens over here. I guess I'm going to kind of show them all at once. So I'm going to go with 1 Dragonic Waterfall over here. Hear me out on this. 1 Blade Master, and then 1 of the reverse. So first and foremost, if you know your opponent does not have any PGs in hand, I know it's a tough call sometimes, but this is such a good card still. This is really amazing. Essentially what this guy does, auto on Vanguard Circle, when your drive check reveals a normal unit, counterblast 1, put that card onto your rear guard circle as a lock card, and if you put a card, this guy gets an extra 10k plus a drive until the end of that battle. So essentially what this is saying, for every open counterblast that you have, you're either A, gonna hit a trigger, or B, hit a normal unit. So if I have 3 open counterblasts, my opponent essentially has to go 50k above what, like, if I'm 13k base, right, my opponent has to guard over 50k if they're 13 swinging into 13, and I have 3 open counterblasts because I have 2 drive checks normal, 3 open counterblast. So at some point I'm going to get that 10k and go over, get that extra drive. So it is a whole lot of shield from the hand. And if you ride this on top of Dauntless, if you saw my other profile, you know that this is actually like a really good rogue deck in and of itself. So just having the ability and the option to kind of go into that is worth it. For the very select matchups where you need to kind of make sure that your board is vacant, I think Blade Master is great. This actually kind of, you know, I feel bad, Alec, if you're watching this, but this really helped me against the Glendios matchup. I basically gave him no rear guards, and I was swinging with, you know, restanding Blade Master. Kind of swung twice. I had another 2 drive checks over there with Soin, as I mean not Soin, the vision token as well. So this guy over here, just to review its skill, continues on Vanguard Circle. During your turn, if your opponent has no rear guards, this and all your vision tokens get an additional 10k. And then act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. Discard 2 cards from your hand, call a vision token to rear guard circle, and at the end of that turn, retire that token. And if Wyvern Strike Doha and Wyvern Strike Garen are on your rear guard circle, retire all of your opponent's rear guards. So good for a board wipe. Sometimes you just need that. You don't want to, you know, blast away all your soul for Overlord. It's possible to go into this. If you want to stall out, I think this is actually still a good option, and a lot of people overlook it. And then Waterfall, there are some really annoying protect matchups, I'm not gonna lie. Giraffe is actually a pretty decent deck right now, and it kind of stacks up on protect ones, you know, just easy to kind of play the long game. Pop this guy down, restanding twice, you know, soul blast 2 grade 3s out, whatever the deal is. Even if you have to just soul blast 1, like, you're telling them at some point, I'm going to make sure that you cannot PG this, and you have to dump your hand, which could set you up for like a fine play later on. You know, go right back into the Rebirth. You don't have to go into the Rebirth over Dauntless every single time. 3 attacks in and of itself with the Rebirth is really good. So I feel like all these cards kind of complement. Most of the deck is set up so that they, you know, you can go into any of these styles. The Kagero stuff is pretty generic. It's not really name locked necessarily to just Overlord or whatnot, at least the stuff that we're running in here. So I actually do like the versatility. I think this kind of gives you alternate win cons throughout and just helps you with so many different matchups. If you want to go with more pure build, I would probably drop like either Waterfall or maybe one of the Dauntless reverses and then up Rebirth one more. Totally up to you. I do kind of like the Blade Master though. I'm gonna vouch for him. Plus, spoiler alert, we are running Doha and Garen in here. But over here, starting off with our grade 2s, we are going to be looking at 4 of a card that did get reprinted as well. This is Breath Dragon. So auto on rearguard circle in the battle attack. If your opponent's rearguard was retired this turn, retire this unit and draw a card, which is good. Again, sometimes like some matchups, you just need to vacate the board. And again, this helped me against Glendios, which is really nice. Second skill, when rolled upon, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. If you did not retire, draw a card. So field pressure presence, just making sure that your opponent's board is clear or drawing out is good in both instances. And the biggest thing is this is costless because, you know, a lot of your abilities do cost some stuff in here, and drawing a card is nice too, just for the Dauntless to kind of set that up. So we are running that at a 4 of. I'm very happy with that card in general. Next up here too, and I'm sorry, I know this is an expensive card. You can swap it for some other stuff if you really want. But for the Rebirth, we need 5 cards on board, and this is just such an easy body to get. This is going to be Wyvern Strike Doha. So Doha, auto on rearguard circle, when placed from hand, counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 Wyvern Strike Garen, call it to rearguard circle, and shuffle your deck. Its second skill continues on rearguard circle. During the battle it attack, if your opponent has no rear guards, your opponent cannot call normal units from hand to Guardian Circle. So it also gets an additional kind of buff when boosted by Garen overall, but just a 9k body, which kind of sucks in a Force Clan, but getting an extra body to board, just making that 5 a little bit easier for a counterblast, which, you know, you're not like going crazy with resources outside of the Dauntless reverse in this deck, and this really doesn't tie into that play too well. So overall, I do actually really like this. I would recommend doing this if you can. If not, maybe like Torrid Cannon or something is like a decent replacement. There's like some of the Dragon Knight combo you can kind of go into as well that searches out grade 3s that can kind of help as well. I think there's like a grade 1, grade 2 kind of deal with that. You could also slot in the Dragon Knight that gives you an extra 10k when there's like a grade 3 rear guard or something. You know, a lot of different options you can go, but I know that's not like a budget card necessarily. Next up over here, I don't think this is too expensive anymore. I'm still running Berserk Dragon, just because card draw is important in this deck, and auto on Van or rearguard circle when placed. We CB1, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. So again, field control, which is good. And then if this guy is on Vanguard circle, we draw a card, which is nice. Its second skill, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, this guy gets an additional 3k until the end of battle. That's only on rear, but just being able to hit a force number sometimes is good. One card at a hand can really make the difference, and you know, if they're trying to guard stuff out, you know, they're trying to take your Vanguard swings or whatever the case may be, that one extra card can make or break sometimes. So I do like this. I'm running that at a 3 of. No problems there with that ratio, in my opinion. And that is it actually for the grade 2s. We're going to hop into the grade 1s now. So again, consistency is key over here. And as such, I'm just running 4 of the Lava Flow Dragon. These are the grade 3 searchers. So when placed from hand, basically on Van or Rear, we look at the top 5 cards, add a grade 3 to our hands, and if we added a card, we discard a card, and then it's 5k condition. The second skill continues on Van or Rear. During your turn, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, this guy gets an additional 5k. So just making nice numbers overall. It's not really a big deal. Like, if you're going to the Rebirth, you lock your guys anyway, but I think in this deck, like I said, we have a lot of versatility with some of our alternate grade 3s, so, you know, why not be able to search them out a little bit easier? Decent ride target overall. So yeah. Next up here too, speaking of consistency, I'm actually running this guy at a 4 of. Super free card in my opinion. We don't really use it for its first skill, but this is going to be Dragonite He Shot, which was also reprinted, thankfully. These were getting pretty expensive too. Its first skill, again, don't really use it for this, but 1 place, Counterblast 1, and Soul Blast 1 on Rearguard Circle. Draw a card, choose one of your opponent's back row rear guards, and retire it. Its second skill, when ridden upon, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Add up to 1 grade 3 or greater card from among them, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So again, a free top 5 search, and in a deck that, you know, has so many grade 3s, so many different options you can take, I think this is definitely valuable. Next up over here too, I think this still is like a Rebirth deck in my opinion. Like, I know we have the alternate win cons, like I said too, or just like options to go into, but you know, oh my gosh, popping this guy just feels so good. Calamity Tower or Wyvern over here, 2 of over here, just keep me a little spicy with some text. Act on Rearguard Circle, Soul Blast 1, retire this unit, and then one of your Vanguards gets an additional 15k until the end of turn. So if you're going at your opponent, you know it's probably your kill turn, going to be attacking multiple times, you pop this guy down, 15k. I've actually got this off twice in one turn. You know, I found the 2 of, thankfully, and my opponent, oddly enough, had 3 PGs in hand to survive that turn, but I ended up taking the game. Sorry, Colb, if you're watching this, but this can actually just mean a whole lot in the game, especially if you're going for that 4 multi-attack and a combo on your Vanguard. Giving that extra 15k is huge. So running that still at a 2 of. You can choose to put in some of the restanders, like the Gem Carbuncle one, that extra, what is it, 15k on it, you know, 20k booster when your Vanguard restands. You can do the other one too, the, not Lava Flow, I forgot the name of it, but it basically restands whenever your Vanguard does too. It's totally up to you, but I kind of like that, and I don't think we're so like resource dependent that we can't spare a Soul Blast. And lastly, over here for the main deck, we are looking at 2 of Wyvern Strike Garen. So Garen over here, just part of the Doha combo. Popping out over here during your turn, if your opponent has no rear guards, this guy gets an additional 5k, making the whole column, I believe it's like a 22k column, don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it is. Auto 1 rear guard circle. When this attack, it boosted a Wyvern Strike Doha hits, Counterblast 1, draw a card, and Soul Charge 1, so putting on a little bit of that on-hit pressure is always good, and again, in this deck, we need draw power. It is what it is, and this pairs up with the Blade Master, so any deck that I'd run like Doha Garen, kind of, for any reason whatsoever, I kind of like to just tech in like maybe like 1 Blade Master. If you guys watch my Dragonic Lawkeeper deck profile, that was the case as well. Over here, we are now going to get into the triggers, so let's pan out. Oh yeah, before I do that, just the starter. You can run any starter. I just have Conroe over here because I think that was what was available, but you can go into Undu, whatever you want. Cool, let's hop into the triggers now. Alright, starting us off over here, not really a crazy trigger lineup, but normally Kagero is pretty standard. I'm deciding to do something a little bit different overall. 4 of the Draw Sentinel PGs, and then 2 of the regular draws. Like I said, all throughout the deck profile, I was mentioning draw power is very important. I believe that is definitely the case. You want to stall out and make sure you make it to your later turn so that you can get on top of Dauntless, and draw triggers just help you do that. On top of that too, you need a full board for your Overlord the Rebirth if you're trying to go for that, like the ultimate 4 restand kind of combo and have those 5 units locked up. You know, draws just get you more bodies, they get you more in hand. You can lock anything, doesn't matter, so long as you draw it, it's fine. And yeah, kind of gets you to that. And with that being said, we still obviously need to apply a ton of pressure, so we're going 6 crit. You can run any of the crits that you want. This is V, doesn't really matter. 4 of the grade 3 PGs, I mean not the PGs, the heal guards over there, just kind of makes it easy. It's pretty simple. You know, you want to survive to late game. You don't need a ton of resources early at all. I definitely suggest not soaking damage early in this deck. That is definitely the playstyle you want to go to, because again, you just need to get on top of that Dauntless to really make your blowout plays. So I really like that. Thank you guys so much for watching so far. Let me know any comments you have down in the description below. Let me know any questions, any suggestions that you found success with. I'm always, you know, I'm a student of the game just like you, so always trying to learn. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Alex from Team Generation signing out.